Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk, thinking right out here in my lab in the wee hours of the morning. Why I do what I do for you. Today, got a good lesson for you. You said that yesterday. I'm gonna say it again tomorrow, but yeah, it's all the same. Lessons are lessons. Deciding what works for you. That's what it's all about. I don't dictate them. I just put them out there. Let's rock. Right isn't 25 rules to live by. Storytelling. Story with a message. This is the story for life. I'm a storyteller with life lessons involved with a message to get you to understand what to do for you if you have those situations. That's all. Just trying to give you what we call old school. Get your heads up. Drop a nugget here and there for you. So today I got a jewel. Let's go. Right thinking mission, and I'm on it, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher level of enlightenment. Right thinking's way of life through a mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's my mission to get you to do just that. That's why I do what I do to help you. Knowing thyself is the goal for all right thinkers. In that process, you're going to get some knowledge and some understanding that you can use, aka useful information, useful knowledge, I call it. All right. Question: know thyself. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. Don't be them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's what I do. That do for you. Stay tuned. I got you. Don't worry about it. A person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know is just asleep on the spiritual law. Now, I'm here to wake you up. That's what I can do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons, they reside in you. Right there to know thyself. To Maya, be true. Speak of the Maya. See this little book right here? This little book. Okay. So much information in this little book, you will not believe. So for starters, let me just read a little bit out the book because the title today, today's title is Right Thinkers, Let's Talk About How to Create Heaven Here on Earth. Bam. Now, to start you off with, we are creators of what? Our own heaven and hell in our own lifetime. Right? Living, heaven. Wrong living, hell. It's only two ways to go. It ain't no other way. So the heaven and hell concept we didn't have. Okay, the ancients didn't have that concept, but we called it the dua hereafter. But it wasn't heaven or hell. Why? Because depending on where you go and how you are, will dictate what you're gonna be dealing with. So the concept of heaven and hell. No, we break it down for you. So let me just read a quick one. This title is The Invisible Duality of Being. Heaven, hell, good, bad, God, man, duality. It's something that's inside us that makes us a dual individual. Let's talk about that. Our being and that is that of God, as we are created what? In his image. We all know that. And composed of two indivisible entities. Let's talk about that. They are, it is an individual that is an individual duality composed of an entity that is what? Unconsciousness. That is the responsibility for voluntary or willing or willed behavior, and unconsciousness. That is responsible for what? The involuntary automated behavior. A careful analysis of these two parts of being will show that the act of willing is merely an indication of the what? The potential act and lacks the energy to carry it out. That has been will. You can will because that's the conscious mind. It thinks, it carries out. Watch this. Now, where we at? Okay, will. The carrying out of the will is the task of what? The unconscious mind. So you have two minds going, one that's aware and one that just does what it does. God is all conscious. Man has conscious will. That means he could communicate with God at that level. That's the idea. Raise your consciousness, know who you are. All that falls into what Maya teaches you how to do that with what? Righteous understanding and living that you can profess for yourself. And she breaks it down this way. Watch this. This is why people, wait a minute, okay. To carry out the will is the task of the unconscious mind, which is part of being wherein it resides the forces, your emotions for the execution of the will. This is why, here you go, most people such as had a hard time carrying out their wills. For example, to break a bad habit like smoking, drinking, one part of your being declares because it is devoid of energy, while the other executes. Why? Because it has the energy to do so. If your unconscious is stronger than your conscious will lose out. Why? Because it just has the power to think, to create. The unconscious has the power to perform that function that you create. Okay? Given the fact, watch this, the energy is oppositely polarized by what? Matter. We must conclude that the unconscious is composed of energy and matter. This grouping established by what? Logic. The proposition that if one part of the composed consciousness composed of energy and matter, the other part of being consciousness, which is will, is immaterial and devoid of energy. Since consciousness, the self, our identity, aka the ego personality, is immaterial and devoid of what? Energy. It is incapable in the Kemetic spiritual system. We're talking about that. That's where I'm at. The imperceivability of the self was denoted by what? The divine principle of who? Amen, the hidden one, concealed. We will later see and explain Amen, our presence, God's identity. We can schematize the fundamental aspects as the following as below. There's a little schematic here written out. It breaks down fundamental constitutions of being. That's the human being. The immaterial, the self, the identity, is active, but it's passive. It has will and it's conscious. But on the other side, the flip side is you got material, which is spirit, not self, non-identity. That's the active and the passive also. But this has the power to create energy and matter. Note that the immaterial part of the being, consciousness, okay, has been associated with what? Self, identity, ego. In other words, consciousness is what and who we are. I keep explaining that to my people. We are who we think we are, but you have to become conscious of that. And we are, watch this, our identity and willing is what we do. You can think it, then you can do it. Dual consciousness. If you just thinking it, in which is that's your consciousness, you thinking, I want to do this, I'm gonna stop this. Oh, I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of going through this. All that's your thinking. But your will, which is your unconsciousness, could care less. Why? Because that's not what it wants to do. And you're not really serious about it because you ain't putting that to work to implement it that make it work. That's how you do it. They work together. You think it and then you make it. Watch this. Okay. We are our identity, and willing is what we do. Think logically, that means that the material energy part of being, the spirit, is not the self. Booyah! Excuse me. Most readers will find this confusing. What you mean, the spirit? I keep telling you, it's two parts. The conscious spirit and unconscious. Okay, the conscious is what we get. He gave us free will. The spirit is life. That's who we are. That's the essence of who we are. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. That's our trinity that way. Sorry about that. I'm a little excited. Okay, let me wrap this up. Oh, I ain't got to my lesson yet. Sorry about that. But oh, here you go. Most reasons be confused about it. Why? Because they have been repeatedly told that man is spirit and not the physical body. That don't make no sense. I'm in the flesh right here. But what's in me, what controls me, I understand is spirit, and what gives me the ability to be thinking is the free will consciousness, which is of God. Man is destined, watch this, to live in the world as a spiritual being. and not a physical being. So we got to raise our consciousness to become spiritual, the fifth dimension, all that good stuff. That's what we're trying to get you to go to. So come back. I'm there. Now, this is an error, and that has been contributed immensely to what? The inability of the vast majority of people, so-called gurus and spiritual masters included, preachers and pastors included, to what? Truly give the world an effective system of spiritual cultivation and development. We will see that 11 laws of God represent the truth, govern the behavior of the self, of the spirit, not the self, and their interaction to produce what? The events we call life. The game of life. It's got to be played by these rules. The manner in which these two fundamental parts of being manifest in the world and interact with each other is distributed through the 11 centers of spiritual influence, schematized as called the tree of life. I'm going to stop right there. I got more, but I'm going to stop right there and get to my lesson because I'm excited. Okay, now they got what you call relationship between the self and the spirit. Quick lesson. Another underlying layer of information that we must have before we can truly understand the laws of spirit concerns the relationship between the self and the spirit, conscious, unconscious, higher self, lower self, ego, spirit. It was stated, watch this, that the self, which is consciousness itself, and those functions is to will, is immaterial, and thus devoid of energy. So we are conscious. All they can do is think. All they can do is be conscious. On the other hand, spirit is material, energy. And guess what? It's devoid of consciousness and will. It is very important to understand the separation of the functions amongst the two fundamental components of our being. To will is to activate the faculty that is devoid of matter, which is thinking and energy. It cannot therefore carry out action that it wills, that it signals. All they can do, again, is think. We can think. We are what we think. Why? Because if you imply what that thinking means, then you will follow up on the thought and manifest what you're thinking. That's what creation is all about. That's self-creation. To speak of a weak and will is to betray what? The ignorance that speaks volumes of what? To the causes of failure in life. To speak of a weak will, that means the person who just can't get it together, is to betray what? An ignorance that speaks volumes as the causes of your failures in life. I want to stop. I don't want to do it, but I just can't stop. I know she ain't good for me. I know she running around. Oh, he doing that, but I just love him. That's weak will. Okay, weak constitution. In other words, watch this. Now, ignorance of the knowledge of self. Those people don't know themselves. Again, knowledge of self is a powerful tool. Why? It gives you the ability to recognize your own weaknesses and flaws within yourself, not outside yourself. Perfecting oneself is getting better, knowing yourself at every aspect of yourself by learning the God and Goddess aspects, which is part of your character. I try to explain that to you. But watch this. Now, on the other hand, spirit, which is what? Devoid of consciousness and will, cannot be the prime initiator of its manifestation. Why? In as of the world. Manifestation, creation in the realm of the what? The supreme being, as well as in man. Consciousness is initiated by what? The act of its formless tool of action, the will, to think, to bring it into thought. Even the idea that is carried by the will subsets in the formless immaterial state. It's just in the mind. It's just a thought. You have to bring it to fruition, as we all know, what we call manifestation. Now, it is important to know that, watch this, while the self in man knows what it wants to manifest. Again, you can want to not do drugs. You can want to not be abused. You can want to not be in the situation that you're in, but something just keep you from making that decision, from making that leap of faith, doing the Father. Watch this. In other words, what is willing and why? It does not know how and when this will develop. When, in other words, to the self belongs to what? And the why and to the spirit. What you think and why you think it and how and when. And it is the truths that govern and the abilities of the self, of the spirit, and their relationship that constitute the laws of spirit. You have to know the difference between your conscious and unconscious, the ability to think and then create. Hence, creating heaven here on earth. So I'm going to slide over to my lesson. I'm going to run through it because I took up all the time. But I hope the lesson was clear. I hope you got the message. I know some of us did. Let me get to the lesson right quick. Now we back over here. How to create heaven here on earth. Our God gave us consciousness. Again, we just talked about it, aka free will, to make our own heaven or hell. Your choice. Mayat, duality. Whenever there's two, that means there's a choice. Mandatory and no options, that's going to be forced on you. You don't want that. Now, if you acquire your spiritual knowledge, aka knowing thyself, and you live by your spiritual truth, that's heaven. Every day that I feel blessed, I'm in a heavenly state of mind. I know people who are blessed out because they're comfortable in their position in life and how they know and what they do for their higher self. They live in a state of heavenly bliss. That's a state of mind. It ain't praise. It ain't the club, but it's the club, so to speak. Spiritual club, all right? Now, but watch this. When you're ignorant of yourself, like I said here, all you go through is hell. Right here. Okay? I gotta calm myself down. Because it makes sense to me. Maybe it all come together because I understand it and makes sense. I'm trying to get across to you that you create heaven and hell. Simple as that. No excuses. Hell is physical, earthbound. Right here, physical world, we're going to suffer. The body's going to go through elements. The body's going to have some disease, whatever. But that's hell. Why? We got to go through it. Ain't no getting around that. Heaven is the state of mind that you create once you raise from this hellish concept. The low level is you constantly fetters. That's it. That's the ego. All you know is this. That's it. Raise the consciousness. Think something better. There is something other than this. If you don't understand that, then you're stuck here. AKA hell. You make heaven by raising consciousness. And heaven is knowing thyself. Boy, I do this. My heaven is my knowing God and I are one. Anointed, Christhood, Haruhood, Nihas, that's heaven. If you reach Nihas, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, you did it. When you have your mystical experience, open the seventh, the chakra ring, waking up, finding God, you are one, you have reached heaven, aka Nihas. And you can make that possible. They told us to know thyself. Why do you think that it is? Because that's where heaven is. The self. The kingdom of heaven is within. You becoming spiritually awakened, your higher self to what? Knowing thyself. That's heaven. State of mind. You reached it. You can't go no further. That's the ceiling. That's how you can go to the upper room. Heaven, now, hell is what? Living in that lower state of mind of ignorance daily and not knowing when or how to wake up. That's why my job is to wake you up. If you're ignorant, I'm not going to bash you. I'm not going to beat you. I'm just trying to wake you up. I'm trying to wake you up with knowledge. I don't preach. So you're not going to get the gospel. You're going to get knowledge, information, useful knowledge. Sorry about that. Back it down. You get a little aggressive. Yeah, when they come to God, I get a little animated. All right, let me finish this out. Now, heaven is that right state of mind again, aka right thinking, with peace of mind and knowledge of self and righteous living. That's heaven. You reach the highest level of living. All you got to do is repeat it, the lessons every day. Do what you do that works for you. That's right thinking. When you make your connection with your higher self, that's heaven. With your daily practice of right thinking philosophy, knowing thyself, that's heaven. When you manifest your beliefs and become a better you, living right, doing right, that's heaven. When with proper study time and living right, your spiritual enlightenment will happen. Heaven, again, all these things is how you can make heaven here on earth. I'm trying to lay it out for you. Hope you getting it. To live in your truth is heaven, aka right through the philosophy goal to get you just there, to know yourself, aka heaven. I want you to reach heaven. Why? Heaven. Okay? It's not enough, watch this, to know spiritual truth. Why? You have to live them in order to reach heaven. Okay? The spiritual truth lived is raising your consciousness to the level of Nihas, and that's heaven. Again, heaven can be reached when? How? By daily practice of right thinking philosophy. It works for me. I reached heaven. I got some students who made it to heaven. Love it. Heaven, that state of mind that keeps the smile on your face and the light feather of your heart. Why? Because you have no worries, you have no anger, no jealousy, no malice toward other. Your heart is light as the feather of my eye. That's how you get into heaven. I'm playing this everything. I'm riding this wagon. Let me wrap this up. When you know the truth and live those truths, you will be in heaven. Last one. Keeping it real daily, aka Mayat or right thinking philosophy, is the way to get to heaven while still on earth. Let me knock it out. Keep your mind and heart working together as the key to reaching heaven. P-Funk means pure real. Yeah, I'm real as it gets. Why? Because that's what got me to heaven. Being God conscious is having reached that highest spiritual level, Nihas, aka heaven. Last one. I found out how to get to heaven while here on earth. Become a right thinker, and you can find out too. That's why I do what I do for you. I'll be back. Hope you appreciate the lesson. I have fun.